All right, new episode of Double OT. Maury and Yanni. It's been a little while. Maury, looking fresh. How you feel?
Just gave myself a little manicured haircut right before we started.
How'd that work? You did it yourself? Why didn't you ask Sierra to do it?
I'm taking out the cooking scissors and I just went straight across the top. Hopefully it lines up well. The gel makes me look a little bit better.
It looks good to me.
It looks good.
I had Beth trim mine last week. She was a little bit apprehensive. Mine is mostly the sides because it starts poofing out. And then she did chip too. So you got to do what you got to do. I respect everyone who just buzzes it, but that's probably not in the cards for us.
Right. No, definitely not for people on TV.
And, that would just accentuate my receding hairline. So we don't want that. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. All right, let's dive into, I guess, the big news today, and it's not really news, is the possibility of the Pats signing Andy Dalton. He's out there. They released him. I'll start with what I said on Twitter, and I don't really see a reason to sign him because I want to see what you have with Jarrett Stidham. Either is he the next guy or he's not. So you have Brian Hoyer there as a backup, and sure, Andy Dalton is a step above Brian Hoyer, but how big of a step? 1 or 2 games? I don't think you're winning a Super Bowl with any of those 3 quarterbacks. So see if Stidham's a guy, and if he's not, figure out who the guy is. You don't want one of those situations where it's like, even in Miami last year, they get Josh Rosen, and then Fitzpatrick takes over, and then you still don't have a quarterback, and it's almost a wasted year. So I want to know if Stidham's the guy. So I get he's cheap and a better option than Hoyer, but I don't really see why you do it.
Yeah, I think the only reason why Bill Belichick would want Andy Dalton is to get to the playoffs and to win another Super Bowl. And I don't think he wants to go through a year of sub 500 or 500. I think, I like the line of thinking of let's see what Jarrett Stidham is right now. And then, if he's mediocre, then maybe he turns into an average backup. And if he's not, then obviously he's going to be your starting quarterback moving forward. I think the one big thing, though, if you do want to sign Andy Dalton, why he is a good fit. I was listening to one of his former teammates, George Iloco, on a pre-draft show last week, and he said, Andy's not going to do anything out of the ordinary, but that's not what the Patriots need out of their quarterbacks. So is he the best fit if the Patriots do want to go with a free agent veteran quarterback? He gets the ball out on time. He can make all the throws. He doesn't really, he can't really move on his feet. Extend plays of that nature. But, if you have a 5-step drop and you have guys open, he can get the ball where it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree that he's actually a good fit. And if you didn't have Jarrett Stidham, I would say go get him. But the issue, and this is how I don't think Bill Belichick's a tanker and an all-in guy. He's always steady Eddie, and he wants to have a team to compete, and he's always thinking about the playoffs and Super Bowl. And while I think Dalton would be a good fit, he's not going to get you to like the Super Bowl. So what you don't want in the NFL is this quarterback limbo where you're anywhere between 7-9 and 11 and 7-9 and I don't know about 10-6, but you don't want to be in that area where you're not picking in the top 10 and you're not a Super Bowl contender. So could they get to the playoffs? Yeah, but the bar is so raised in this organization that I don't know what that does for you. I mean, for a head coach who's trying to keep his job, or a guy who thinks maybe their roster is good enough to win a Super Bowl. But I think what we saw last year is with Tom Brady, you were out in the divisional round, then you're not going to be better this year with some losses in the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know if it's a bridge year or rebuild, but getting the answer to the quarterback is paramount. But I would not be surprised if this goes down in the next day or so. And then it's funny because it's like Jameis plays for $1 million for the Saints. Dalton's probably not going to make a whole lot of money. And then Cam, it's like all these guys, their fall from grace is pretty astounding.
And I think what's even more important, and I think what's on Bill Belichick's mind is now that there's that extra 7th playoff spot, like you were saying, a rookie quarterback that can be around 500 can maybe make the playoffs now. So yeah, it's not really worth it. If the Patriots don't want to bring in a veteran quarterback who doesn't know their system, to even bring him in, because if Jarrett Stidham can get you to 8-8, you're going to be sniffing that new 7 seed now. So another quarterback, even if they're a little bit better, a little bit have a little bit more experience, they're not necessarily going to get you to the upper echelon of the conference.
The other thing that I think helps the Dalton narrative is if there's an abridged training camp. Like, so Stidham knows more about the Pats offense right now than Dalton because he has a year in it. But if he's still not NFL ready as a quarterback, maybe you plug and play Dalton for this year. But if he doesn't know the system as well, is he that much better? So a lot of things to consider. But I think he sort of hinted, someone grabbed the portion of his post-draft presser where he pretty much alluded, oh, there's a lot of ways to get quarterbacks. We'll see what happens. So I think he was waiting for the Jameis. And but like in some respects, I would have been more pro Jameis because he has more upside. So if you feel like Stidham needs more help, Jameis would have made it interesting and fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like much higher upside than Dalton. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think Cam and Jameis are in that same tier of, are mobile, can run a little bit. Maybe you do a couple things, that are out of the ordinary if you want to sign them. But, I mean, obviously Jameis is off the table. Cam, I think, is off the table as well. But it'll be interesting to see if they want to bring Dalton in. And then there's another conversation of, is Brian Hoyer your starting quarterback week one? You don't want to roll Stidham out without much work in the summertime. It's only a second year. Maybe it's a little softer with him coming in week 3 or 4. So there's a lot at play now at the quarterback position.
And obviously everyone goes back to 2008 with Matt Castle. And then the 4 games Brady was suspended with Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett. I think Belichick and McDaniels are so good at putting players in position not to fail or to do well. So whatever they have at quarterback, they're going to cater the game plan so that person doesn't make mistakes. I mean, you don't have to look very far. The year Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl in 2001, he wasn't chucking the ball 40 times a game. He was a game manager that year. So whoever the QB is going to be this year, it's going to be a simplistic, tapered down in terms of the passing game offense. You see, they got the two tight ends, and I was just hearing this on the radio, and I totally forgot about him. The running back from Alabama, his name is escaping me right now. Damian Harris.
Yeah.
Did he have his redshirt year? Because that's something James White didn't play at all his first year. So it's like, does he have something to show us this year? They're investing, if Tooney doesn't go into that line, are they going to be a run-first team primarily? So that brings us to the draft. Based on all their needs, what was your big reaction to everyone they got?
Yeah, it's obviously with any draft, it's hard to tell. I think if we had to put a grade on it, I'd give it like a C plus. It was average. No draft is ever going to be an A, and it's really hard to get a B because, if I would give it a B, this is the places where I think the Patriots were lacking. Not a lot of blue chippers and not a lot of starters from day one. So that's where you are excited about a draft. You get a guy in the first or second round that can contribute right away. Other than Justin Rohrwasser, the kicker, I don't think there's another player that they drafted that will start that's a lock right now that we know from day one. Kyle Duggar, could potentially be a punt returner, could play a role in special teams. Probably not going to be your starting safety day one. And then, potentially the tight ends as well, even though you have a Matt Lacoste, to lean on or potentially another tight end. So, I would give it about a C. I think it's also interesting some of the moves they made. The signings from the undrafted free agency ranks. But in terms of the draft, I think they have a few pieces that they're going to use. I think it was really interesting that they traded up so much to get Dalton Keene. Maybe James Devlin's retirement, played into that decision because he can play a little bit of fullback. But it'll be really interesting to see. I wasn't overly excited about their draft necessarily. I think it was just kind of ho-hum. To be honest, and the idea with Belichick and company is to shore up the defense and special teams more than the offense.
Yeah, I mean, from a Patriot fan perspective, if you're a Patriot fan, it's underwhelming because you don't cash in on the first round pick. Your first pick is a D2 guy who, by all accounts, has a ton of upside and athleticism and may be awesome. All these defensive picks for the first 3, and then you pick the 2 tight ends. But then you look back to last year and everyone's throwing up the pom-poms because N'Keal Harry's a first-round pick at receiver and Belichick never splurges at those positions. And he didn't have that great of a rookie year. So like you said, it's impossible to grade. I haven't done a ton of research on what the Pats were getting in terms of draft grades. Were people kill? I think they were probably middle to bottom end.
Yeah.
But like you said, that's the big takeaway. You can't say that person, like the New York Giants pick a tackle at 3. He's my left tackle for 10 years. He starts day 1. There's no one who's plugging in day 1. Someone said that Uche's maybe NFL ready in terms of like a talent perspective, but something Belichick usually does, unless there's like a desperate need for you, like a right away. He doesn't really play a ton of rookies in terms of like, if he's got a veteran there, he's sort of, a lot of his draft picks are with a year or two in the future at hand. Obviously, they're old at safety, so you pick the 2 safeties that will be playing much more in a couple of years than this year. But I don't know. I mean, I give it a C too. I was going to say B-, but I'll give it a C. But draft, one thing we've learned, Bill Belichick, a lot of his hits have been in places you weren't expecting, like the Edelmans and the Bradys and the Gronks of the world. And then, but at 23, you expect a starter on your team, and they didn't do that there. So, I think it's interesting for the first time in, so they tied for the division in 2008. So I think just twice since 2001, they have not won the division, in 2002 and 2008. So this year, I'm looking at the standings from a year ago. Pats 12-4, Buffalo 10-6, Jets 7-9, Miami 5-11. A lot of people are just anointing the Bills for the top seed. I don't know if I want to go there just yet. I think it'll be neck and neck. I think the over-under for Pats is about 8.5 wins. I think they'll be 9-7. So if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say the Bills win the division. Pats sneak into that maybe 7th wild card spot. Do you think Miami and the Jets are there? Do you think this is going to be one of those divisions where in December it's wide open?
I think it's going to be wide open from the start. Come December, I still think it's going to be a 2-horse race. I think it's going to be the Bills and the Patriots. Now, a year from now, I think that's completely different with the emergence of the Dolphins specifically. When you look at the broader terms, in terms of the AFC, all these teams on paper have more talent than the Pats. So it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Texans, the Titans, and then I think the Bills and the Pats are in that 5 to 8 range.
Yeah.
So they're on the bottom part of the playoff.
Does Pittsburgh rebound? I'm just looking at Indianapolis with the new quarterback there, and then so they're in that 6-7 spot probably for Rivers.
So, I mean, on paper, the Bills have more talent. I think definitely on the offensive side of the ball than the Patriots. But, and it hinges on the quarterback position. That's what makes, the decision whether to sign Andy Dalton or not go. I mean, if the Patriots had a proven quarterback, and Jarrett Stidham could be proven for all intents and purposes, right now. But, since he's not, that's the big reason why there's so many question marks. I think the Patriots, are within the division lead or within a game or two, in November or December, but I'm just not sure, we can put the Patriots, atop the AFC East right now.
I will say this, though. If the Bills want to win the division, they're going to have to win the division. Whenever anyone wants to anoint a team, whether it be the Browns last year, or you would know this, that Eagles team that they called the Dream Team, whenever everyone hypes up a team, and I don't know if Buffalo's getting this hype, but when I talk to Thad Brown in Rochester, he was saying this is it, this is our year, this is our division. And something to remember too, let's say the Patriots defense is 85% or 80% as good as it was last year, and it's not the December defense but more of the September, October. I don't think the offense is going to be that much worse because it wasn't all that good last year, even with Tom Brady. So if it's just that level, I mean, Brady wasn't throwing for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards a game. There was a lot of 208 yards, 60% completion, 2 touchdowns and a pick, or 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So I don't think the offense is going to fall off that substantially. So I think the Patriots will actually be better than we think. I think they'll be competitive in every game. So they're not going to blow out bad teams necessarily. They'll be close with good teams, probably lose to all of the division leaders that they lost to last year, but it'll be interesting how that works out. But I actually think their offense isn't going to be as bad as we think. All right, switching gears, let's talk about just how Corona's affecting all these leagues. Looks like NASCAR is going to start having some races. UFC is on.
Yeah.
The latest on baseball is maybe late June, early July, with no fans in these 10-team divisions where you just play in your corridor of the country. NBA is talking about maybe a Disney World bubble league, although LeBron came out today and said they're still trying to make the season work because there was reports contrary to that. NHL's similar, maybe start this summer, end instead of June, you end in, the fall, and then you start again next December. So where are you at with where all these leagues stand?
You have to have a bubble. And I think that's what separates professional from college sports. The professional guy, you can keep them in a hotel. You can keep them quarantined. College sports, I think it's going to be really tough to have any fall sports right now, at least start on time. But in terms of professional sports, I like the idea with Major League Baseball trying to, have a 10-team division, trying to go to Arizona or whatever it may be. Logistically, I think there's a lot of hoops and hurdles that they need to jump through. But, I'm in favor of trying to play the sport. I mean, we all miss sports big time. What it means for our job, how, maybe we can go to certain places or cover certain games. I think there's a lot of question marks there as well. And we might be affected too. But, I think people are just dying for some type of sport. The players are dying to play. We need a break. I'm not a big TV person, big movie buff, but I've turned into one, I guess, now during this quarantine time, and I'm ready to go back to live sports. I'm not a guy that sits there and watches a 2 or 3 hour movie or binge watches a TV show. I'm ready for anything, and as long as there's competition in 2 teams, I'll watch.
I think this baseball idea is doable. If you play without fans, and baseball is a sport where you're not on top of each other. It's not like basketball, body to body, exchanging sweat and saliva and whatnot. I think that's doable. And I think the NBA NHL model of one location is doable. I think if I'm NHL, MLB hasn't started. If I'm NHL and NBA, I complete this season and worry about next year. What I think would be cool for both, even if you complete the season, let's say you start in July or August and you finish in October, start next year in December or January 1st. No one cares about the NBA or NHL those first couple months anyway. And let next year be an abridged season, 50 games or whatever. Or if you're in the NBA's case, someone has floated this out. Change your whole calendar entirely. Go December 1st to August 1st and eat up those dead summer months, as opposed to playing in October, November when everyone's in baseball and football mode still. So I think this is an opportunity for leagues to sort of self-assess where they're at and their schedules. Wouldn't the NBA be better if it started Christmas Day and finished August 28th, and then we roll into football instead of being 100%. Done in June? And you have, so that college football, I don't see it happening because of obviously the dynamic of kids needing to being on campus. Let's say, and we heard Bryant today says they have college. Let's say half the schools in the country are in class, half aren't. You can't tell. All right, Clemson, but they can't play Texas A&M because they're not. So too many variables in college football. I'd be surprised if they played this fall. But do they play next spring, or do they just can the whole season?
Right. No, I like that point about, flipping the calendar as a whole. I just think you have to find some resolution to an NHL and NBA season that you got through 3 quarters of,
right?
85% too. These guys work so hard and these teams are ready to compete. There's players and athletes that are chasing championships that they might never win.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you win a championship or you win, multiple championships, that defines legacies and careers. So, there's too much at stake right now. I think NHL, MLB, NHL, NBA, they have to play. Major League Baseball, if you can't get it off the ground, you just nix the season. You never really started because you only had a few weeks of spring training, and then you won't play. But I definitely think NHL and NBA should play. And then I think the NFL will play eventually, whether or not we see how much training camp there is, whether they start on time, things like that is fine. They can play through the winter and outdoors.
The funny thing about the NFL is every other league, like, wait the next week or so. And it's like Patriots versus Texans date to TV, or say September 9th, 1 o'clock, because right now with where we are at as a society. So I'm really curious to pull that out. With the NFL, they're like Teflon. No one can touch them because it's like Corona starts in March. It'll wind down in September. It's literally their off season. They had the draft. I don't know if it's going to have fans this fall. And ultimately, what the leagues care about money, because that's how they get most of their revenue. Obviously, the gate hurts. You know, the lowest Patriot tickets, $100, times that by 70, including the preseason. It all adds up. Not to mention, I think also it's the funny thing about the NFL is they're negotiating right now with networks TV deal. So it's almost they and the networks want to they're sort of courting each other right now. And hey, we're ESPN. We're going to put you on ABC on Monday Night Football. And CBS, we just paid Tony Romo $16 million. He's going to be the greatest thing ever. But also hilarious today. Like college, we're going to put games on Saturdays. just NFL just eats up everything else. They just don't care. But yeah, that'll be in schedule, which I'm always pumped for, because personally we're like, oh, this game is the week of Thanksgiving, or this is we're going to this game. And like last year the Pats had such a cool home slate. I don't think they're going to have a ton of time. Their brand is still strong, but without one sexy, like I always said, on the marquee, it's like Monday Night Football, and it's like Brady versus Watson or Mahomes. Who do you put up there? Is it Edelman? Is it Stephon Gilmore? Is it just Belichick? It'll probably be more 1 o'clock games for us. Is it hardest or second hardest schedule in the league? And there's 3 West. So depending on where those West Coast are, those are, you always hear the phrase like scheduled losses. Like, I was on the West Coast, came back to East Coast, had to go to West Coast for a 1 o'clock game. Like, we were never going to win that. And then we've seen the Patriots in the past, when they have 2 consecutive West Coast games, they'll just stay out there and practice somewhere all week. So that'll be interesting. All right, I want to wrap up with you've seen all 4 episodes?
I have, yeah.
All right, so what do you think so far?
I think it's good. I think it's awesome. First of all, that's how basketball should be played. Physical rivalries, guys wanting to play all the time, working out in the off season, wanting to put on muscle and weight, not caring about their bodies. They put their bodies through so much to get to that level. Now it's time to lay it all out on the floor for as long as your body can last. I think the one big thing that I guess, I'm obviously a little younger, is I guess how important Doug Collins had on Michael Jordan's career at the beginning of it. Everyone associates Phil Jackson with the Bulls run, and then Phil Jackson with the Lakers. But during those first 3 years, it was get Michael the ball. He was really able to find himself in the NBA. He was Defensive Player of the Year. What else was he? I wrote it down. MVP of the league, MVP of the All-Star game, dunk contest, obviously. So he was able to really find himself in those first 3 years while the Bulls were transitioning from such a bad organization to a good organization. Yeah. And then with the implementation of the triangle offense, Phil Jackson started to teach him about using his other players. That's when then the Bulls flourished. So that was a little cool thing that I think I learned that maybe I didn't appreciate as much. But other than that, it was good. The timeline is a little hard to follow.
It's a little
going back and forth from the years. But no, I love it as a whole. It's giving us something to watch, and it's appointment television every Sunday.
And it's funny because everyone's watched almost live sporting event, because people are tweeting about it in real time. And then when it's over, Scott Van Pelt does a post-game show, and he's interviewing Will Bond and Jackie McMullen and Steve Kerr, whoever's on that team. So I get going back and forth from like, all right, we're talking about The Last Dance, the 97-98 season, but we have to tell you the backstory. So do we go chronologically? Like, all right, here's Michael Jordan, born in North Carolina, Laney High School, and that's episode 1? Or do we I sort of like that it's real time and here's the backstory. That's easy when Jordan's in high school and in 1998. But when it's like, all right, last season, 98. Oh, but we're back in 91 now. They beat the Lakers, and it's like all the characters are the same, but they were just 7 years younger. So I love it because enormous Jordan fan. He was my favorite player of all time. Coincidentally, the Celtics were bad in the 90s. So, like, there was no – like, if I met a kid in Rhode Island today who's like, I'm a big Golden State fan, I'd be like, what do you mean? The Celtics, right? But the Celtics were bad in the 90s, and the Bulls were so good that it was like free range. Everyone was a Jordan fan. And I think – unlike LeBron, who still is a little polarizing, just everyone loved Jordan. He was so big. And I'd say probably the 93 finals versus the Suns is the first time I was really into the NBA. So his third title, and then, of course, the final three. So, like, that stuff in 97, 98, I remember all that. I was 12 at the time. But the early stuff, I had forgot. I didn't realize the whole Pippen underpaid thing. That was wild.
Right.
He signed as a DNI for 7 years, and by the time it ends, he's the 120th paid guy in the year in the league. The Doug Collins, Phil Jackson thing was interesting because I forgot Phil was on his staff. So he's just like waiting in the wings. He buddies up to Tex Winter with the triangle offense. And then kudos to Jordan for being like, hey, Doug lets me shoot 35 times a game, and you want me to shoot 25 and play in a triangle. So that was good that Jordan sort of acquiesced to that. And then, like you said, it was cool that the teams hated each other. And I liked that it was like the Celtics and the Lakers, and then the Pistons had the Pistons had to dethrone the Celtics, and then the Bulls had to go through the Pistons to get there. So it was like you needed to earn it, and it wasn't like this super team thing. It was bad blood, and it was hard. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, it was more physical then, and Jordan got harassed in the lane, but like it was a different game. I mean, those big centers, Luke Longley, Bill Wennington, Will Perdue, all these guys, they wouldn't even be in the league now. If you can't shoot the basketball right now, you're not in the league. Like the stretch 4s and 5s didn't really. I mean, Pippen was like 6'10" and could do it all, but like it was just such a different game. And those mid-range jumpers and turnarounds, like no one shoots those much anymore. And it's been cool because Jordan, as great of a player as he is, he's never been that like thoughtful of an interview. I just think he's so brand conscious. He's never really said anything controversial or particularly like enlightening. I think his Hall of Fame speech was pretty bad, wasn't he? Like he was like pissed or something.
He wasn't that great.
Yeah, so this has been great seeing Jordan in his habitat of like you can see the fire a little bit when they showed him the phone. They're like, here's what Isaiah had to say about walking off the court. And he's like, I don't even want to see that. Like, I don't believe him already. And he's swearing. And I think having him like in that habitat is cool. So yeah, it's been great. And it's just, I just can't believe that the reason they didn't go another year is because Jerry Krause, their GM, didn't want Phil back. Right. And if Jordan says, I'm not playing without Phil, why doesn't the owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, just say, hey, Jerry Krause, GM, out of here. I'd rather have Jordan and Phil, the greatest at what they do here, and get a new GM. Feels like they had burned the bridge with Pippen, but if they got Krause out of there, gave Pippen a good deal, it seems like they could have stayed around. It was a shame because someone else was saying this. I was listening to a podcast. Jordan was on these 1-year deals, and then the NBA teams weren't like freeing up cap space to anticipate a Durant or a Kyrie Irving or whoever's on the open market now. So it was like there weren't a lot of teams that had $30 million open to sign Jordan. Right. So there wasn't really like a spot necessarily for him. It would have just made sense for him in Chicago. Like he obviously could have still played. So anyway, it's been cool. It's been fun to rehash it and a lot of stuff you didn't know. And the Dennis Rodman thing. I mean, imagine social media going to Las Vegas for 3-4 days.
With Carmen Electra. Yeah,
Carmen Electra.
Yeah.
And she was, as a 12-year-old at the time, it was her and Pam Anderson were like on Baywatch, and they were like the number one babes at the time. So, and Rodman, just a guy who all he cared about was rebounds and like hustle points. Like you don't see a lot. People are saying Draymond, like guys who don't score a ton, but yeah, it's been,
some of those stat lines of like 0 points and 28 rebounds.
Unbelievable. Also, like the amount of drama, we thought there was drama with like the Pats the last couple years, but most of that was under wraps. For like Scottie Pippen to be doing an interview being like, yeah, they want to trade me or I want to be traded. And then they ask Krause and they're like, yeah, we've been entertaining offers. Like they were so open with it.
Right.
Wild. And like, I can't imagine every week Jordan being like, is this your last year? Is this your last year? Like we weren't doing that really to Brady until the Titans game that week.
Right.
Like it was always in the backdrop, but it wasn't. So yeah, some parallels, but anyway. All right, we're going a half hour, so we should wrap it up.
Cool.
Good stuff. I'll see ya. That's the latest episode of Double OT. Catch us online and as a podcast.